Hi, welcome to Music and Marriage.
The place where we seek to uplift and inspire you through music and encourage you through candid conversations about marriage.
I'm Doc.
And I'm Brittany. So welcome to our first marriage chat. Our topic for today is our first year of marriage, not so happily ever after. In this chat, we want to give encouragement to really anyone who's married or looking to be married.
And this can be for those who just got married or for those who've been married for years. Today we're going to take you on a journey through some of the challenges we faced in our first year of marriage. We were in a long distance relationship the whole time we dated and even while we were engaged. But fortunately we got a chance to see each other every few months. Once we got married, we learned that there's a big difference between having long distance phone conversations and living under the same roof.
So before we got married, everything was pretty good when we were dating, minus the month-long temporary breakup we had a few months in.
But even that helped us realize that we wanted to be together, and we knew that from that point on we were pretty much committed to each other.
Yeah, we were in it for the long haul.
We knew we were supposed to be together. So,
right. So from there we got engaged 9 months later and got married 6 months after that. Our wedding was awesome and a memory we'll never forget. But then reality hit.
Yeah, reality hit hard. It really started on our honeymoon. I mean, even though we enjoyed ourselves, we had a lot of good memories. It had a whole lot more challenges than we expected.
Yeah, there was a lot of tension between us during our honeymoon at times. And sometimes I'd be thinking to myself, like, aren't we supposed to be in marital bliss right now?
Yep.
What is going on?
Yep. That was a honeymoon, but we figured that once we got back and things would be different, we'd be able to settle in for a couple days before I had to get back to work. But it didn't work out like that. We actually ended up getting stuck in Atlanta airport for over 24 hours.
Ugh, it was horrible.
Okay, here's why. So I was just trying to save money, I bought standby tickets, and now I know why they call them standby tickets.
Yeah, because you'd be standing by a long time.
So lesson learned on that one. Don't ever purchase standby tickets, especially on your honeymoon. Yeah. So now we finally made it home after all of that, and Brittany's car was supposed to be shipped across country, and it was supposed to arrive at 4 o'clock that afternoon. But it actually didn't even end up getting there till after midnight.
Yeah.
And we tried to see, hey, is there any way we can pick it up another time? No choice. Had no option. We had to pick it up that night.
And the sad thing about it is we ended up taking it to the junkyard a few months later.
Yeah, and it wasn't cheap shipping that thing across the country either.
That car was a disaster. I spent well over twice the amount of what I paid for it on repairs. I try not to think about it because I get upset.
So by the time we actually got home, it was after 2 a.m. and I still had to report to work that morning at 4 a.m. to go out of town for 3 days of field training. We set 3 alarms, but didn't hear a single one.
It's horrible.
Needless to say, I showed up to work several hours late, and as soon as I showed up, my first sergeant was all in my face, and I could almost like remember it just like clear as day right now. But he said, don't think just because you're married that now you can do whatever you want. And so in my mind, I'm like, way to go, hero. Oh yeah, this is just great. This is definitely the way to start life as a married man. So
yeah, that was just our first 2 weeks. Sounds blissful, right?
In the grand scheme of things, what we just talked about, that stuff is minor. I mean, that's not stuff that, you're gonna break up over or nothing like that. But, the things that we're gonna talk about next, these are things that can actually make or break a marriage.
Right. So the first thing we struggled with a lot in the beginning of our marriage was miscommunications. We had a lot of these in our first year. And these miscommunications led to a lot of unnecessary issues.
Yeah.
One prime example was a time where Doc and we were getting ready to go out of town or something, and we were going in and out of the house, loading the car, and he was out of the house, I was inside, and somehow the door got locked. I didn't lock it, I'm telling you, I didn't lock it. But I don't know what happened, but the door was locked, and he had assumed that I had locked him out of the house. So next thing you know, I go outside to put some stuff in the car, and then try to open the door. He locked me out of the house, like straight up locked me out of the house. I was like, what in the world? Why did he lock me out of the house? And so I'm just like really upset at this point, and I don't know why he just locked me out. But later on, I found out that he thought I locked him out of the house. So then he ended up locking me out of the house back. So ridiculous, huh?
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, we were kind of had a little spat or something going on
Right,
at that time.
yeah. And so it was just like,
It just
that
all
was a
kinda
total
carried over.
miscommunication.
Yeah.
He had assumed that I had locked him out on purpose. And so then he's like, well, I'm going to lock her out too. So it was just like little things like that
Right.
that could have been completely avoided
Yeah.
if we would have just, communicated with each other. And yeah, that would have saved a lot of
Yeah.
issues
Yeah,
in the
it
first
would've.
year for sure. Another thing that was a challenge for us was before we got married, I was single, independent, and I was used to making my own decisions. But once I got married, I had quite an adjustment to make.
Yep. And like Brittany said, she was strong and she was independent, but I also wasn't about to be a pushover. So even when she had good advice, I was reluctant to get her input because I felt like she might try to take over. So it was basically a power struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm supposed to be in charge, I'm the leader, right? While it's true that God gave me the role of being head of our home, I failed to recognize and understand how important my wife's strengths were to our marriage. And I remember there would be times when we would get into an argument and we would go days without talking to each other.
Horrible. We would give each other the silent treatment, waiting for the other to apologize first. And shame to say it, sometimes it took days for this to happen. We were both very prideful and stubborn, and we had to get this in check before we could really start winning in our marriage. Some of these challenges we dealt with in our first year of marriage even carried over into year 2, but then a blessing in disguise took place. So Doc actually received orders to go on a 9-month deployment to Afghanistan, which I was definitely not excited about. I mean, even with all the arguments and struggles, I still didn't want him to have to leave for nearly a year. But it was during that time that God really started working on my heart and showing me some things that I need to change. And it was during that particular deployment that I made the decision and told Doc that from this point forward, I would rather lose every argument and start winning in our marriage. And that kind of meant a lot because I like to win.
Yeah, and that's when I told you I'd rather win every argument and win in our marriage.
But you know what? The funny thing is, typically when I swallow my pride, he swallows his too, and we both get a fresh new start. We both realized that through all of this, we're a team. When one of us loses, we both end up losing, and frankly, it's just not worth it. So I have to say, it really is better to lose in an argument and win in your marriage than win in an argument and lose in your marriage. That's coming from someone who likes to win.
The way we approach things now is different than we did in the past, so
Yeah.
now we have a mutual respect for each other. So that means that I value her opinion and I take it into consideration when I'm making decisions.
And I've learned to trust and stand behind him when he makes decisions for our family, even if I don't always agree. This approach really has transformed our marriage over the years. So as you can see, our marriage wasn't always like it is now. We had to actively work to get to this point, and we still work to invest in our marriage now. That way we can continue to grow and strengthen our relationship.
We always joke around saying how we'd rather have had a rough start and things got progressively better than to start out great
Like a
and
fairy
then
tale
things
marriage.
get progressively worse. So
Yeah.
in this episode, we focus more on some of the issues we faced early on in our marriage, but in upcoming episodes, we'll focus more on what we specifically did to work through them. And more importantly, without our faith in our personal relationship with Christ, we don't know where we would be.
Oof, that is so true.
It's true.
So we hope this marriage chat was an encouragement to you. If you like this video, please take a moment to share it to help spread the word. And if you haven't already, please check out our other videos on our newly launched YouTube channel, Music and Marriage, and don't forget to subscribe.
Thanks for watching, and until next time.